Okay, well, it's been a while since I've been here. Last week was rather crazy. On Tuesday night, I had to go and pick up my grandmother from the airport, and then over the course of the next several days, I drove two airports from Huntsville to my parents' house, back to Huntsville, or back to airports, probably 3 or 4 times. So, needless to say, last week was about as unproductive as it possibly could have been. Um, so, I do have a new kind of staging that I'm going to use for these videos, and I'll hopefully get it done soon. I just need to recover from the events of the weekend. So, anyway, without further ado, I'm going to get into a little bit here. Kind of something I'm going to kind of do, and I'm probably going to bore most of you with it, is I, over the course of my time reading comics, I get very backlogged at times. I have the things that I read immediately, and then I have things that I kind of want to read but don't jump on immediately. So I end up having a lot of backstock of comics. Like over here, there, I have 3 stacks of probably 40 or 50 comics. So what I'm going to start trying to do is, as I read huge chunks of things, a lot of which are from the same book, I'm going to try to talk about a lot more things, because I talk about the highlights every week, but I kind of want to start talking about some of the other things that I read, stuff that doesn't get noticed, stuff kind of like Rebels, Secret Six, things like that. So you may see me talking about other things a little bit more. Anyway, we're going to talk about 4 things right now, 2 of which are part of the same story arc. We're going to start it off with Wonder Woman 601 by J. Michael Straczynski, Don Kramer, and Michael Babinski, with a nice cover by Don Kramer. This is the first, I guess, proper issue of J. Michael Straczynski's Wonder Woman run, that his very much publicized Wonder Woman run that he took over the same time he took over Superman, which is another book I'll be talking about here. But in this book, we're kind of given a little bit of insight into here. Now, this is a different Wonder Woman. It's a different costume, a different origin, and not so much a different origin in as much as the timeline splinters at one point. Basically, something happens that causes Wonder Woman's timeline to diverge in a different path, which leads us to this current continuity that we've got here. So we're still learning about that. We're still kind of getting our bearings here. This is a lot of filler. This is essentially the history issue. If you've never read Wonder Woman before, you can pick this up and you're going to get it. This is very, very jump-on friendly because of the nature of the story. We basically get the history as to what happened to the Amazons, what happened to Diana, what happened to Hippolyta, and everything. So it's good in as much as it's good storytelling, but it's bad in as much as it's almost all filler. There's a lot of action, though, because the history of what's happened to the Amazons is pretty gruesome. So it's definitely a good read, I think. I think J. Michael Straczynski, just like he does with anything, is going to need to take some time to get his bearings and start building the fan base. So I'm enjoying it. This was the first time I was really looking forward to reading Wonder Woman. No offense to Gail Simone. Wonder Woman moved to the top of my pile for the first time in a long time. And a lot of people are criticizing this new direction over just the new costume, the new origin, all of that. And I mean, my stance is, I mean, I never really talked about it. I guess maybe I could have, but... Oh yeah, we're sponsored by Dr. Pepper. They just don't know it. They announced a while back that Wonder Woman was getting a new costume that was designed by Jim Lee. And Jim Lee's an artist I really like. He does interiors once every 10 years now. But he designed this new costume, and it was almost immediately like reviled by the online community. I mean, the sales say differently, but basically, the problem is a lot of people were all questioning it. They're just like, why would you do this to Wonder Woman? Why? And I mean, my stance on it is such. From a sales economy sort of view, Wonder Woman was selling 25,000 copies a month. It was selling less than a Superman book that didn't have Superman in it. And I guess at that point, I mean, you feel as a publisher, you've got to do something radical. And rather than, like, half-ass it, I guess, like, go halfway, J. Michael Straczynski basically said, okay, we got to go full way on this. If we don't, I'm not going to do it. And so DC took the gamble, and we'll see how the gamble pays off. But I will not fault them for trying something radically different, because everyone's voicing their opinion, which is something they weren't doing before. So if people are getting passionate about this, people are getting involved in this, it can only mean good things for Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman 601, it's a good jumping on point. If you're a Wonder Woman fan, I suggest checking it out. I think that you might be surprised. Anyway, moving on to another J. Michael Straczynski book, the other book he writes for DC. This one is not quite the shakeup that is, but we've got Superman 702 with a very, very nice John Cassidy cover there. Some are saying John Cassidy should have been the artist, but I disagree because he's rather slow. Anyway, this is the second part, or rather the second full part. We had a prologue in Superman 700, but the second full part of the Grounded arc, which is Superman, in short, walking across America in order to reconnect with the very people that he's supposed to protect. And in a way, reconnect with us, the readers. I've talked about Superman 701 before. I'm sure you can find it on my video channel, wherever that may be, if you care. So this is continuing that. The big one here is he goes through Detroit. And we kind of see Detroit is a very kind of, we see some aspects of it. We see Superman play a basketball game with a bunch of kids, which is kind of cool. I found the scene rather touching. J. Michael Straczynski can do that very, very well. And we get some action in this issue. If anybody was worried that there were things going on, that it was just going to be him walking and there's going to be no action, we get some stuff in this issue. Some stuff happens, and then we have a bigger overarching story that involves some illnesses and, honestly, aliens from another planet that are hiding out here. So I mean, we got robots, we got aliens, and we've got basketball. I mean, what more could a person ask for? J. Michael Straczynski, again, he's kind of still finding his bearings. I think that this Grounded arc is eventually going to get a lot more involved and complicated than anybody is expecting it to. And Eddie Barrows is doing a really good job. I just hope that Eddie Barrows can keep up with the deadlines. I know that he's not been too well known for doing consistent art chores without needing some fill-ins. So hopefully he keeps it together. This is the second full issue. We'll start seeing soon. But I'm really enjoying this. It's again making Superman another must-read for me, because during the World of New Krypton arc, Superman became very. I almost just had a passing interest in the Superman books. I mean, Superman wasn't in them, and we were getting a Mon-El story. And the Mon-El stuff was okay. I don't think that removing Superman from his own book for a year was probably a good move. So I'm glad to see Superman back in his book. I'm glad to see him reconnecting with America. And I think this arc is going to be... And I'm honestly not only excited for this arc, but I'm excited for what's coming after this arc. J. Michael Straczynski and then Paul Cornell. Once Paul Cornell wraps his Lex Luthor arc, Superman will return to Action Comics. So not only do we've got two great arcs going on in Superman and Action Comics, we've got great potential futures going on. So I really, really am enjoying it. I kind of like the idea. It's definitely different, and it's again getting people talking, which is something that they weren't doing before. So even if people aren't talking bad about it, they're getting passionate about the character again, which is something that I think is good. I think that the Superman character kind of devolved into kind of mediocrity. So I'm really, really glad that he is back in a very big way, as it were. So yeah, Superman 702 and Wonder Woman 601 by J. Michael Straczynski, both worth checking out. Don Kramer doing the art on Wonder Woman, Eddie Barrows doing the art on Superman. Don Kramer did the art for JSA versus Cobra, and he also helped out on Outsiders. And he's done a bunch of other stuff. He's done JSA. He's been all over the place. He's really, really good. And Eddie Barrows from Blackest Night Superman, from War of the Supermen, from a lot of things. So it's really, really good, and it's worth checking out, I think. So both these, rather. Worth checking out. Anyway, we're going to talk about something that kind of relates to J. Michael Straczynski, in as much as this is the follow-up, as it were, to One More Day. I don't think I've ever talked about One More Day other than a random offhanded comment that I've made towards Joe Quesada for it. One More Day, for anybody who isn't following and for anybody that actually has a life, which I do not, One More Day was the story that removed Spider-Man's marriage from continuity. Made him a single guy living with his aunt again. Basically, Spider-Man, and then it was later revealed Mary Jane, basically made a deal with Mephisto, who's essentially the devil, to erase their marriage from existence to give his Aunt May a chance to live again. I hated that story, and I still hate it. J. Michael Straczynski, and it's not so much the story itself, it's the ending. I feel the ending was one of the biggest cop-outs in comics ever. It was a bigger cop-out than Dallas. And so we have basically this really emotional story where Spider-Man is weighing. He's tried everything. This is One More Day, not the new ones I'm talking about yet. He's weighed every chance he has to try to save his Aunt May, and he's got nothing. There's nothing he can come up with. So he ends up making a deal with Mephisto to erase his marriage. Now, J. Michael Straczynski has said that he wanted to explain all the changes. He wanted to go back and explain how all of this stuff happened. And Joe Quesada gave the infamous statement, "It's magic, we don't have to explain it." Which brings us to these two gems. One Moment in Time. This is a Spider-Man story arc. I believe it's 3 parts, currently going through the Amazing Spider-Man ongoing, that is written by Joe Quesada, and features art by Joe Quesada, Danny Miki inking him, with Paulo Rivera doing some art, as well as the original Paul Ryan art from the original Spider-Man wedding special. Creates some really kind of jarring transitions. But this story is essentially explaining what happened. Just giving us kind of that insight into what really happened between Spider-Man and Mary Jane. And I'm not feeling it. Joe Quesada's art that he's contributing to me is also rather poor. He is definitely, in his editor-in-chief days, he's not nearly as dynamic an artist as he used to be. Paulo Rivera is doing some decent work. It's not nearly as smooth a transition between his work and Paul Ryan's on the wedding special that they were claiming it would be, but it's very much not bad. But it's like I said, it's them pretending. I guess it's them kind of giving the, okay, you asked for it. Here's what happened that made the wedding not go on. Basically, that's all that we were told, is that the wedding never happened. And basically, the explanation we're given is that Spider-Man's out fighting somebody and ends up knocked out in an alley with the dude on top of him, knocked out too, and ends up missing his own wedding because of it. Now, that, to me, is dumb. Really dumb. And basically, the whole hook of this story, Paulo Rivera is doing the flashback sequences that happen in the wedding special time. And Joe Quesada is doing bookends and rather interspersed pages where he's doing a modern scene where Peter Parker and Mary Jane are talking about what happened, because it's kind of seen by them as the white elephant in the room. But I'm not feeling this at all. It's basically, I know they're trying to give us the explanation that we all wanted, but I'd much rather have had no explanation at all than this. This is, and again, Joe Quesada's never been a guy that I really liked for his writing ability. It's always, his art on Guardian Devil with Kevin Smith, and then later on with David Mack was really, really great. The stuff he did for everything else, but his art lately is just really, really left me wanting, as it were. So, One Moment in Time so far has not exactly been the media blitz I think that they were expecting for. I just haven't been impressed with it. I think that the reason they did, and then it goes on, they have a very emotional breakdown where Mary Jane storms out on Peter and basically says she wants to be Peter's wife and makes him choose between Spider-Man and her, which I guess any rational woman is going to do. I mean, if your husband's a superhero and he misses your wedding because of it, yeah, at that point you guys need to chat. But then she decides to come back, but then says that she will always love him, but she can never marry him as long as he's Spider-Man. And so you're kind of left at this point just going, okay, what's going to happen now that drives them apart? And I'm rather confused and rather just not digging it at all. But, you know, no one pays me to think, as these things are called. And I'm sure there are people that are enjoying it. I'm just not. Anyway, that's going to wrap up what I'm talking about here. I will be back, hypothetically, to talk about even more. I want to talk about Justice League Generation Lost. So we'll be back. Stay tuned.